Yes, no, maybe? Oh, there we go. Okay. I think we're in good shape. Here's a little bit more of a sound check. I don't have my roadies with me. I have a developer friend. Figures it's a MusicTech thing, so instead of a roadie, I have an iOS developer helping me. So it's par for the course, right? It's that kind of thing. As you guys can see, I'm off the road. My name is Jordan Rudess. Some of you know me as the keyboardist with the band Dream Theater. Other people know me as the president of Wisdom Music, and other people know me, no, there's a list. There you go. This is kind of a special week for me because every year or so I get to come out to San Francisco and I get to kind of have fun in my tech world. Besides being a keyboardist, I embrace technology, I embrace social media, and this is a great week because it's a great place to be if you're into that kind of thing. So I brought some good toys with me. It's funny, like where you guys are sitting, if you look at the stage, you see this item over here, and you probably don't really see anything. I realize that that's kind of a funny thing. But actually on this stand is the Roli Seaboard. It's an instrument. It's a new kind of musical instrument. It's kind of like the evolution of the keyboard, and I'm going to show it to you a little bit. So Brian was actually gracious enough to invite me here to kind of do a little like Jordan Rudess presentation of all the various things that I've been doing. So I'm going to try to keep it somewhat, in each area, somewhat concise, but I'm so happy to show you. So I think I'll start out and I will show you a little bit about the Seaboard. And actually I know it's a little bit unusual to be playing a musical instrument live here, so I apologize in advance that that's what's going to happen. I'm literally going to be playing this keyboard. And before I get started, so I'm going to show you a little bit of a video. Since you really can't see the instrument too well from your angle, I'll put something on the screen that you can check out just to see what the Roli Seaboard is. So I'll hit play on this, and we'll do it. Yeah. Cool. So you can see it's something that's very different and unusual. And I'll say this before I forget, that I'm going to be downstairs with the Seaboard in the ballroom. I have a little area where I'm going to be set up and doing my thing. So feel free to come by and put your hands on it. Kind of got something that I would call an addictive touch. So once you try it, I'll have to push you away from it because it's really, really fun. So I started to actually get involved with this company because I've been into alternative controllers for a while. I think that it's really important to push the industry forward and to offer instruments that are cutting edge and cool and have new ways of expression. And I started out kind of my world of doing that in the iOS platform. And I noticed that there was this really large gap between what was happening with the iPhone that I have in my pocket, right, and the world of instruments as we know it. And I thought there has to be some way of kind of like making things happen in the hardware world that are a little bit more similar to some of the cool things that we're now able to do on these multi-touch devices. So in the middle of that journey, I discovered these cool people called Roli that are working on this amazing hardware instrument. And this to me is kind of like the answer to that question. What's going to happen in the hardware world that opens up the world of expression in music for people like myself who want to do that? So this instrument features kind of what we call a multi-dimensional control. So you put your hand on a key, and you can kind of press into it, and you can move your fingers around. There's two ribbons. You can move your finger on a ribbon. You can slide off the key onto a ribbon. I'll play a little bit for you live. So when the guy came to me, this amazing fellow Roland Lamb, and showed me this instrument, I was like, okay, I'm a busy guy, but I have to be involved in that. That's like totally awesome. This is my kind of thing. So he literally brought this from the UK to my house. We set it up, and I was totally hooked. So hooked enough that I actually schlepped this thing from my house in New York to here. So without my crew. So there you go. All right, so. So you can see what happens when I play a note. I can then kind of wiggle my finger on it. I can press into it. I can kind of press out of it, and you can hear that sound fading. And every note that I play is a completely independent entity. So if I want to play these two notes, and I want to vibrato just the top note, right? Or if I want to maybe bend a note, like play these two and then bend that one and not the bottom one. And what's really cool, so you can't see it, but it has the form of a keyboard. You'll come look at it downstairs. So if you're a keyboard player, you can, you can kind of find your way through traditional scales and do, some level of keyboard playing, but it's really very different. So it has your keyboard form, and then on either side it has a ribbon. So if I wanted to, let's say, play a C, and then an E and a C, and if I wanted to slide from the C to the E, I could slide off of the key and move onto the ribbon, so I could go, and there I am on E, right? So instead of just playing C to E, I can slide and get there in a fretless kind of a way. And the power of that kind of fretless ability is really, really cool. So you notice I play this note and then I can slide all the way down here. So right now for the sound engine part of this, I'm using one of my favorite plugins. It's called Omnisphere, and I'm running it in a multi-timbral mode. The instrument at this moment, this is a prototype instrument. This is not released yet. We actually have a release plan. I can tell you more about it if you want downstairs. But in a few months or so, we're going to be releasing our first instruments. And those instruments will actually have built-in sound. But for now, I'm using Omnisphere, which is a great, great plugin. So here's another sound that I thought was very appropriate. This is kind of like, it's a take on the fretless bass idea. Can you give me a little bit more gain over there so I could hear it, especially out of this monitor, I guess? Very, very slippery. So opening up that whole idea of being fretless and using vibrato is so important in music. Matter of fact, it's so important to me that I developed a series of apps that kind of do the same thing. And these are apps you can run on your iPhone and you can run on your iPad as well. So I thought this was kind of a good bridge to go from the Roli Seaboard, which again, please come down to the ballroom level and put your hands on it, and I'll show you more about it. It's really, really cool. But I also have this concept, which we took a little bit of this concept and put it in the Seaboard, which if you notice, if I play a note and slide, it's perfectly in tune when you stop the slide. I mean, it takes a little bit of practice, but in general, we have an algorithm that I've been kind of involved with for a while and a proponent of, and also I would say the inventor of, which enables you to slide your finger on either a surface, like on the iPad, or on the Roli Seaboard. And when you slide your finger from one note to the next and stop, it's going to round the pitch, so it'll be in tune. And you can determine how fast or slow, or if you want that, or if you don't want that at all. So that's pretty cool. So even when you're on the ribbon and sliding from one note to the next, it'll be in tune when you stop your finger, and then you could add your musical vibrato from there. So it started out for me, actually, on this app that my company created called Geosynthesizer. And here I'm playing this and you can see it on the screen. So check this out. I'll play it just for a minute. You could get the feel of it. guys like flying around on that thing through the whole range. Well, that's one of the things that's very cool about this. Even on my iPhone, I can basically do that. I can play like these massive scales and arpeggios in this tiny little surface, because there's a couple of really cool things going on. One of which is, as I said, with the Seaboard, is that you have basically this cool ability to play diatonic pitches, like if I want to go, let's play it down an octave. But then you also have the ability to slide in between the notes, right? So this is a flat surface. This is an iPad. I can go. It's totally like fretless. It's sliding all over the place. So as I look at you think those notes are perfectly in tune. So there's a little touch of magic right there. There's two levels of what I call this rounding, or quantizing the pitch. One is on the initial press of the note. So if I'm looking at you, I can go. If I hit the screen at all, I'll play a note, but anyway. So wherever I press, it's going to be in tune, and then when I slide and stop, so when I stop my finger, it will round. So there's that element, but there's also some different modes where you can skip around octaves. So like if I play just these three notes repeatedly, in this mode, we have an automatic kind of octave changer. So without touching anything, I can be skipping around through the whole range. I can play riffs like this. So you can tweak that as well. So between this kind of fretless ability and the ability to jump through the entire range of the instrument, it's pretty expressive and flexible and really, really fun to play. Yeah, so that's geosynthesizer. So moving along, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the work I'm doing with a company called Recombinant. This is something I'm really, really excited about. I've had a relationship for a while. Startup music. I had a relationship for a while with a very amazing programmer named Jesse Chappell, who I met him. We did some work together on one of his apps called Thumb Jam, and I knew right away that this was a really, really special human being doing some very, very cool things. So if you haven't had a chance to try Thumb Jam, it's another app you should really try. So when he told me what he was doing on this new app that is now made by Recombinant, that is actually out, it's called Jam Bandit, I thought, okay, I got to check it out. I'm interested in whatever this guy touches, because he's one of the best music programmers that I know. So he started to tell me about it, and I was very interested, and I wanted to play along with it. And the whole idea of Jam Bandit is that it's an interactive app. Now, I'm really into interactivity in music. It's very, very important to me. And so I was fascinated with what this company was going to do. Basically, Jam Bandit, the marketing slogan is it puts the fan in the band. And there's a lot of interesting ways to be interactive. There's people trying this in many different formats. I'm doing it in other ways. Jam Bandit does it in a very, very cool way. It has a system so when you load in a song, it can look at that song, and as the song is playing, it will automatically adjust the scale or the mode to match what's happening in the music harmonically. So let's say I start, let's just pick something, one of my, yeah, this was cool. And actually, I'm playing along and working with Recombinant in a number of ways. One of them is I'm putting my own original material in here, both in the free app and also with songs you can download. And I also have some Jordan sounds in here as well, which I'm pretty happy about because it's really fun to play them in this environment. So let's pick a different sun. This is a cool song, right? All right, so the song starts, and then I can play on the... Give us some guess. What's happening is that as the song is playing, going through its chord changes, all I have to do is slide my finger on this playing surface. If I want to shake the iPad a little bit, I get a nice little vibrato, and I can bend. And there's also what I call like the magic slider here. That's very cool because if you have it all the way up, and you can tweak this as you go, you'll get closer to like a chromatic scale, right? So if you're still all the time the music is playing notes within your, within the right mode. It's like being like a guitarist or a keyboardist with a fantastic ear. If you bring the slider all the way down, you're going to get more like chord tones. So it's whatever song is playing, no matter how complicated it is or whatever, you will be able to follow the changes. Here's another one of mine that's available as an in-app purchase. This is a little bit more of a complex song, right? Now this song has a lead in it, but I'm going to mute the lead so I can play my own. I'll play the start. That's the lead that's on there. I'll mute it. So that's muted. Now I can... So you can really jam, you can really have a lot of fun. And this is a free app. All of you should just be downloading it right now and playing with it. It's got my really cool lead sound. That's just yours, just for the downloading. And the instruments play so beautifully. You'll see when you check it out. This is a very smooth thing. Right now we're kind of like inches away from having a whole bunch of songs. I think Dave is here somewhere and he's working on getting, yes, you can talk to Dave because we are on the cusp of getting like all the library that we need to run inside of Jam Bandit. But in the meantime, it's a whole lot of fun to play. There's a lot of cool songs. I want to tell you before I stop, also with Wisdom Music, I have my roadie or developer slash roadie for the day, Felipe, who's helping me a lot, came all the way from Santiago, Chile. We're working on an app called Ear Wizard together. Ear Wizard is a very fun, really cool app. It's basically an ear training tool. It's also a game. How many of you have ever played the game Simon? You know that. I love Simon. We all love Simon. So I thought, how can we move that into a musical environment? So Felipe and I talked, and we're kind of ready now to release Ear Wizard. I think in a couple of weeks it'll probably be available. The idea of it is that you can go into it, you can pick a particular scale or mode. Let's say for now we'll just do major. I can pick a level. There's easy, intermediate, and hard. I'm going to pick a harder mode. Well, let's just say I'll do normal for now. And so it puts some chords on the screen. And the idea of it is much like Simon, is you would hit play. Little video of yours truly comes up on the screen, and then you have to play it back. Ah, I'm correct. Right? So we're in the key of C right now, so it's all chords within C. If any of you think you can beat me, I'll see you downstairs for a match. What's really funny is, because we're developing this together, I've been testing this a lot and getting to, pretty good high levels, but it still is very challenging. It's definitely, it's something I'm very curious to see how people do. And speaking of that, there's an interactive element with this, and you can play it as a game. If you get to the hardest level, there's an hourglass that starts to count down. So if you don't match that, it'll tell you, okay, you're out of the game here. So it becomes very fun, and it also trains your memory and your ear. What happens is these little videos that you're seeing right now, right? They disappear over time. So if you're remembering things by just the visual aspect, you're out of luck after a little while. After it gets to like 7, 8 repeats of something, there is no more visual. So you have to use your ear and you have to use your memory. So yeah, the other thing I want to tell you about before I leave here is that, maybe I can even show you that. Can you mute this audio for 1 second? I want to plug in my iPhone. I guess very relevant to this is that I started recently, maybe some of you know about it, I started recently a PledgeMusic campaign. And what it basically is, it's the first time I'm trying something like this. I mean, I'm coming from a very different world. Dream Theater is probably one of the only groups right now that kind of is still with a major label and doing that. But as a solo artist, it's a different story. I'm not signed in the same way as Dream Theater is. So I decided that there was some creative projects that I wanted to do that I really needed to find a mechanism to do. So PledgeMusic was the way that I chose to do this. And there's a couple things I'm doing with Pledge that I think are really, really interesting. It's an ongoing campaign. Please check it out when you get a chance. One of the things that I'm doing is I'm putting together an orchestral piece that I wrote a couple of years ago. And it's called Explorations for Keyboard and Orchestra. And it looks like right now I'm probably going to go off to Poland to record the whole thing and get it really recorded well. But the other side of it actually is that I'm doing an interactive app, interactive in a very different way than Jam Bandit. It's a really different thing. I will show you this little experience here. This is a totally like almost alpha going on beta version here. It needs the connector. Oh well, we don't have that. We do. Oh, great. Okay. I'll tell you about it while we round that up. So what I decided to do was I really wanted to create a new solo album. You know, a lot of you know me as like this, you know, progressive metal keyboard artist, but I'm also a pianist. I come from a classical background. And one of the things I love to do is I love to play my piano. And I have a beautiful Steinway piano at home. It's like one of my very favorite instruments. So I decided to put an album together with my Steinway, all Jordan solo piano music. But of course I'm going to release it the standard way, but I also want to release it as an iOS app and make it an interactive experience. So that's what I'm working with. I'm working with a great developer named Joe Zobque, and we're doing just that. We're taking my piano music and putting it into this world of interactivity. It's going to be a very gesture-based experience. So you can take your iPhone or your iPad, and you can just listen to the music, or you can touch the screen, and just kind of like work with the music and maybe add reverb or delays or spectrum echoes or add other audio stems that may be hiding beneath the surface. The idea is that you would call up a song, a little preview of one of the tunes. Can you turn it up just a little bit? Yes, no, maybe? There we go. Okay, so we've got a list of songs here. And then you have also the different modes that you can be in. And each mode offers like different effects. So let's see, let's go into the Aurora mode. And there we go, it starts up. And then when I touch the screen, different things will happen to the piano music. Like I can swipe maybe to the I can take one finger now, and I know the gestures, but it's more about exploring. So you can... Now I'm changing the filter around. Maybe I want to take those off, and I just want to add some nice, you know, ambience to it. And it's kind of like different things will happen when you touch it. It's not always the same, which is kind of cool. And every song will be a little bit different as well. So it's kind of, we're calling it Jordan Explores, like the beginning of the Explorers series. So, yeah. There's another hidden stem that I just triggered. And the cool thing is that after you play with it and you do your own thing with my music, which I'm allowing you to do, and some people say, are you like crazy? Why are you letting people play with your music like that? And I'm like, oh, this is fun for me. This is totally cool. Well, you'll be able to do whatever you do, and then you'll be able to share it with your friends as well. You say, look how I destroyed Jordan's music. So hopefully it won't be destroyed. There are some windows of parameters that will go on in each mode of operation here. So yeah, so that's a little bit about what's going on in the world of Jordan Rudess these days. So I thank you so much for hanging with me and checking it out. I will be downstairs in the ballroom showing these things, showing the Seaboard, showing all my apps. And I just want to thank Felipe and Alex for helping me today with getting all this set up, because it's a little bit more than just talking. So have a great day, everybody. Okay. Thank you.